If you plan on using the Dreadlock sponge, you clicked on the right video. I have a 4A or a 3C hair type, and I tried to sponge freeform, and my hair isn't staying after I used it. I used a sponge for a few weeks. I also tried gel on the sponge, but my hair tends to stay attached to the scalp. Any tips? The Dreadlock sponge is not for creating dreadlocks. There's only one way to actually instantly create a dreadlock, and that is by using a crochet hook. The purpose of a dreadlock sponge is to create your sections for your locks. Now, why are your sections not staying there? It's plain and simple. Your hair doesn't want to stay in the sections. So you have to constantly train your hair to stay within those sections. And there's many ways you can do that. You can continue to sponge your hair every single day, or even periodically throughout the day. Or after you sponge your hair, you can define those sections even further by twisting them. And if you want to take it even a step further and create your locks today, start with the sponge to create those sections, and then take those sections and instantly lock them up using a crochet hook. And that's if you're really bold. So if your dreadlocks keep unraveling, just keep maintaining them in that section. A dreadlock is essentially formed from you holding a section for a long period of time. And just always keep in mind, your hair does not want to stay in those sections because you created them. That's the difference between freeform dreadlocks and maintain dreadlocks. If you go a complete freeform route, your hair is gonna lock up in ways that it knows best. But if you choose a maintained route, you're figuring out what you want your locks to look like, how big the sections should be, and how thick they should be. So you're doing it yourself, and your hair's like, yo, that ain't gonna work. But you have to constantly keep telling your hair, this is how I want you to go. This is how I want you to go. And periodically over time, it will just train itself to stay within those sections. And that is how a dreadlock is birthed. Yo, bro, I have a question. I've been growing my hair out for 2 years, but it only comes to my nose. I wash my hair 2 times a week and sometimes use Jamaican black castor oil. When I watch on YouTube, I see people that have 2 times my hair length in 1 year. What am I doing wrong? I have a 4B hair type. If you've been growing your hair out for 2 years and your hair is only going down to your nose, there's 2 things that possibly could be happening. Your nose is probably a foot away from your hairline, which I don't think that's the case. Or you've been picking out your hair, which is causing the hair to break off at the tips, which then stunts your hair growth. Because bear in mind, everybody's hair grows about the same length at the same time, which is ½ inch every single month, which is 6 inches every single year, which is 12 inches every 2 years. But since you've been growing your hair for 2 years and it's only down to your nose, it's most likely because it's breaking off at the tips. So do your best to prevent your hair from breaking off at the tips, especially at a 4B hair type. The tips like to combine with each other. Now, if you already have dreadlocks, which I'm assuming you do, a 4B hair type always looks like it grows extremely slow. And it's not that your hair is growing really slow, it's that it has such a tight curl pattern that before you even get to the point of maintaining your lock, it's already locked into the position that it is. So say your hair grows this long, but it appears this long because it's a 4B hair type. And say it locks up in this position, then you can't adjust that length. But if you have a looser curl pattern, your hair is this long and it appears this long and it locks up at this length, it's going to appear longer than a 4B hair type. And that just really comes with the territory. But if you really want to maximize your hair length with a 4B hair type, when you maintain it, comb through your roots and then do a retwist. This may seem little, but it makes a huge difference. When you comb through your roots, you're elongating your lock before you do a retwist, which means that when that hair locks up, it's going to be longer. Do my locks look good? And if not, is there anything I should change? All right, let's go check out his profile. Whoa, hold up. That's crazy. Oh my gosh, what? He doesn't even have any photos. I'm planning on starting my lock journey. How would you recommend I start to make them mature as fast as possible and make them skinnier? If you want to make your dreadlocks mature fast, start with an instant locking method. And there's really only 2. There's crochet hooking and then there is interlocking. Crochet hooking is a 1-step process, interlocking is a 2-step process, which I have videos on both. Another way to make your dreadlocks mature quicker is to wash them more. In other words, just make sure that they are extremely clean all the time. Another way to make your dreadlocks mature quickly is to not use that many products. The more products that you add, the more products can actually get built up into the locks, which makes it actually harder for the locks to lock up. Now, how do you make your dreadlocks skinny? So when you're making the decision of thick dreadlocks versus skinny dreadlocks, it comes down to one decision you have to make at the very beginning of locking your hair. And that decision is how big you want your sections. The smaller your sections are, the skinnier locks are gonna turn out. The bigger your sections are, the thicker your dreadlocks are gonna turn out. Because no matter how much you crochet hook, no matter how much you palm roll, your locks can only shrink down to the size of your actual section. So you have to start from the beginning. And of course, if you're like me and you made thick sections to begin with, and then later on you wanted to make them skinnier, you could of course separate them, but go ahead and save yourself all the struggle and do it to begin with. Can I ask a question? Yeah. All right, next question. Will a worn out perm affect dreads if I get some? I've seen people actually get a perm of tight curls and then get locks right after. And to be honest, it works very well. But why is it that curly hair locks up so much better than straight hair? And the answer is really as simple as this. When you have a straight hair pattern and have dreadlocks, all of the tips of your straight hair are going to stick out of the lock and they're going to look extremely frizzy because all that hair is straight. So imagine my fist is your dreadlock and this is the hair that's sticking out of the dreadlock. It's sticking straight out and it's straight. But if you have a lock with a 4C hair type or just a tighter curl pattern and the hair comes out of that dreadlock, it curls. So it's gonna curl right back into the lock. That's why hair that is a tighter curl pattern looks more uniform than a straight hair type. If you have any questions, DM me on Greatlocs on Instagram. And if you enjoyed this video, you're definitely going to like this one.